I'm Israel Ronn, Vice President of Aftermarket at Eyesight Technologies, which is a driver monitoring company. With me today, I have two of my appreciated colleagues, Ohad Kleinman and David Dudi Marcus. Ohad is the Vice President of Sales to Europe and APAC in Broadman 17. A complementary company to us, so we are a complementary company to them, each one in his own version. And David Dudi Marcus, who is the founder and owner of Marcutech, an automotive consultation, and all three of us are from Israel. In today's session, we will dedicate the time for a discussion about video telematics in general and about driver monitoring system, specifically in my part. And we will divide the session into two different parts. The first one will be a presentation that I will give you about the role, the game-changing role of driving monitoring in the fleet management area. And then the second part, we will conduct a panel discussion between the three of us, and the audience is welcome to use the session chat channel to ask questions or to add their opinions, and we'll handle them, of course, and we'll discuss various major issues as the time will allow us. So let's start with my presentation. I will share with you my screen, and we'll start with it. So our subject today is how driver monitoring is becoming a game changer for fleets and in the fleet management area. As I said, I'm Israel Ronn. I'm the Vice President of Aftermarket in Eyesight, and I have quite a long and deep background in the areas of telematics and fleet management, which were my main focus in the last 13 years, being the General Manager of Cellocator of the Pointer Group, a telematics device vendor, and then having my own company, a consulting company, and today as a Vice President of Aftermarket in Eyesight. Now, a little bit about Eyesight. Eyesight is a computer vision leader, and in the last 5-6 years, we are focusing on driver monitoring and in-cabin monitoring. We do have two main lines of business. The first one is the OEM Tier 1 line of business, where we already have 9 design wins with major OEM in the United States and FAW, which is a Chinese OEM. That's one business line. The other business line, which is under my responsibility, is the aftermarket business line, where we are focused on fleet. We do sell a DMS-only solution at the algorithm level, but our main product is the FleetSense, which is an off-the-shelf device dedicated for driver monitoring capabilities, and we will use it as case study in the presentation going forward. We do have customers in China, like Exxon you see here, in Latin America, like Intcomex or Samtec that you see here, customers in Mexico, APV, ADAS Mobile in Taiwan, and others. So we are already on the run with our products, and we do see the impact of these products on the fleet industry. What are we going to talk about today in the presentation? First of all, a little bit to understand what, to my perspective, video telematics is doing to the fleet management arena. We will go and talk a little bit about driver monitoring for fleets, which is not exactly the same as driver monitoring to the OEM hemisphere. We will look a little bit at vertical markets, talk about how do you implement driver monitoring for fleets. Then we will use Eyesight as a case study, and we will look at the FleetSense device, understand what are the capabilities of this device, And as promised, we'll dedicate the second part of the session to a panel discussion regarding driver monitoring and its impact on, the video telematics and its impact on the fleet management industry. Now, I want to begin with a slide I presented in a presentation 3 years ago. At that time, I was an independent consultant, and I used to make an automotive market update every 6 months. And actually, what I said at that time was that the fleet management market is in a technological dead end. I talked about business opportunities, acquisition, stuff like this, but actually the market was busy with the same canvas, the same driver behavior profiling, the same fuel management profiling, the same tracking features for a very, very long time. And as a result, actually, the market became highly competitive and went into price wars that still exist everywhere in this market. But please note to the blue line. I really marked it as blue now towards our session right now, but I said video telematics is raising its head. And actually, since then, video telematics became a main factor in the fleet management industry, and one of the main tools to create a differentiation, to create a different pricing scheme, and to offer something new with a major benefits on its side and added value to fleets and to telematic service providers. Especially for telematic service provider, it becomes a new area of business that allows them to innovate and to restructure their business strategies as well. Now, no need to tell you that actually drivers are a good reason for many of the accidents. I mean, distraction and drowsiness are a main cause, especially with today phone use and other distractions on the road. And they account for something like 20% of collision rate if you look at the National Highway Traffic Safety Association data in the United States. It's not only direct damage, but it's also cargo damage, vehicle damage, business damage, schedule disruption, and SLA penalties that fleets will suffer from it. And while addressing the driver attitude, the driver behavior, the driver attentiveness, and its awake situation, we can prevent a lot of these damages. When we are talking about driver monitoring for fleets, actually, what kind of features are we looking at? First of all, we are talking about drowsiness or fatigue detection. This is a main feature, and drivers that are driving when they are tired are a main cause for accident, whether those are small accidents that will just hurt the schedule and the business, or major accidents that will have associated damages. In some industries, like the oil industry or the hazardous materials industry, that might be even more because you have environmental damage as well, and that's very sensitive to the companies who are in these industries. Now, drowsiness can be light drowsiness, which has a sense of prediction, can be heavy drowsiness, or even driver asleep, and we have seen situations like this. Now, distraction is another effect that the driver monitoring system we look at, and actually those systems, we look at the driver attentiveness, the way he is focused on the road, by viewing his gazing direction or viewing his head pose, making sure that he's looking at the road. Here, systems would take into consideration many aspects to avoid false alarms, and that's an issue we'll elaborate a little bit more. Systems like this will detect seatbelt misuse, phone use, which is a major cause of accidents, smoking while driving, which is critical, for instance, in the oil industry or the hazardous materials industry, but also in other industries. And in China, for instance, it's a regulation not to smoke while you are driving. There are also occupancy management features that are looking not only at the driver, but if the driver has other people in the cockpit, then they can be supervised, whether we are talking about violent signs, leftovers, or even seatbelt misuse. Some advanced solutions, we look at driving under influence, and in order to make it a real fleet management feature, facial recognition will allow us to have an advanced high-level driver ID, and that's probably defines the scope of a driver monitoring system. Important to say is that in the fleet situation, driver monitoring systems will be connected systems. This is one of the main differences between commercial consumer cars, OEM level driver monitoring that will only alert the driver, and fleet management type of systems that will alert the dispatcher or the fleet manager, everybody who is watching the fleet, and this creates a set of requirements that does not exist when we are talking about a single consumer car. So connection is to the fleet management system, and it allows us to give the driver alerts, to give the fleet manager alerts, but those needs to be different than those that the driver is getting in order not to overload the fleet management, to have a high-level driver ID with light drowsiness detection, to be able to do some dynamic routing and workforce management activity. Of course, we can add the information, especially phone use, smoking, and seatbelt to driver profiling, and the whole thing is compliant with many regulation and legislations starting from China and going to the European community as well. Now, since we have talked about it, maybe we'll give you a small glance into how driver behavior system looks like and operates. And of course, I'm using Eyesight's demo kit in order to show it to you. So we will have a short video clip. The modelist that we see here is Tal Kshipo, VP product in Eyesight. And you can see that right now he's looking at the camera. The square around him shows the head pose, and the numbers are showing his eye openness. We see that the system identifies him as Tal, and we have a set of indications over his head, whether he's smoking, using a phone. Right now, he does not wear a seatbelt. He is awake. He is attentive. He's looking at the road, and the camera is okay and is capable to see him in its field of view. So now, let's run the demo, and in a few seconds, we'll see what does it mean. Okay. Tal takes the seatbelt and note that the seatbelt sign will go off. Okay. Now, he will take sunglasses. Since the cameras are IR cameras, we are capable to see gazing direction. That phone use has been detected also. The demo is fast. He's smoking, sees the smoking sign. Now he's distracted, you can see it. And we let him sleep. He's distracted and then asleep. By the way, to imitate drowsiness is not that easy because we need biological signs that we can't imitate easily. And that's in general the demonstration that we can see here. Okay. So now let's discuss a little bit what does it mean driver monitoring for fleets. So first of all, as I mentioned, driver as a device is communicating with the fleet management system, so we need integration, and fast integration and tools to make fast integration are an advantage for any device. False alarms are a major issue because when you're overlooking a fleet of vehicles, false alarms can overload everybody who is watching this fleet and makes the features totally unusable. We need to cope with privacy regulation to make sure that video clips are not being sent when there isn't any necessity for it, and to let the user and the fleet maintain and control the level of privacy they want to maintain with their drivers. We need to have the capability to make a very, very fast installation, a very simple calibration that will fit any driver at any height and any size. It needs to be designed in a way that dispatcher or fleet manager will have the capability really to use the information and act, and not simply be overloaded with whatever alarms that are there. So not every alert that the driver is getting, fleet manager needs to get. He needs to get more indicative alerts. We need to allow device remote maintenance. For instance, the system needs to know automatically when it went out of calibration, because when you have 100 cars, you cannot physically check it every day. You need to be able to integrate the information into driver behavior, driver profiling integration. And of course, this needs to cope with traditional telematics features. You cannot live only with a system that does driver monitoring. So let's take a case study, and what we see here right now is Eyesight's driver fleet sense device, which is an off-the-shelf device that is capable to do driver monitoring features. We support all the features that we have mentioned before, and I described it to you. You can see it on the list of the right-hand side. The driver sense also, the fleet sense also supports an additional camera. So adding road-facing capabilities is coming very soon, and it has the capabilities to warn the driver with audio and LED indications as well. That's really on a nutshell, because as you can imagine, I can speak about this product for 2 hours at least. Now, the system is supplied with an installer application that allows an installer to calibrate any system upon application, to test it, and to program it and configure it. We have 2 types of FleetSense devices. One is using LTE connection to connect directly to a fleet management server. Another flavor doesn't have LTE connection, so using Wi-Fi or using RS-232 or using Bluetooth, it can connect to a telematics device, and via the telematics device, it can communicate with an FMS server. Now, we also supply what we are calling cloud middleware that actually handles the communication from the server side and allows integration with the FMS server using a simple API. And this way, integration will take few days to have a device connected and appear on any fleet management system screen. So that was FleetSense in a nutshell. And of course, we are available for questions if there are any regarding the product. And now we have come to the panel discussion, and I want to invite my 2 colleagues, David Dudi Marcus, founder of Marcutech, and Ohad Kleiman, VP Sales Europe and APAC at Broadband 17. I will stop sharing the screen in order to allow you to see the beautiful faces of all the 3 of us, and let's move on to the panel. So, hi Dudi, hi Ohad, how are you?
Hi.
You are both muted, by the way.
No,
Okay.
no way, just a second.
No, we shouldn't.
Can you hear me?
You should hear
I
me,
can
right?
hear. I was the guy who was guilty in shutting your mouths, so I was the guy who actually allowed you to speak. So first of all, welcome on board.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank you.
maybe we'll start with each one of you telling me a little bit about himself and about his organization, company. Let's start with Ohad, please.
Okay, hi. Thank you very much for inviting me. So my name is Ohad Kleiman. As Israel mentioned, I'm the VP Sales of Europe and APAC for Broadman 17. Broadman 17 is a software company. We provide efficient ADAS solution. In general, Broadman 17 has two lines of businesses. The first one is working with integrated tier ones and OEM. The second one, which is more relevant for today's discussion, is for the aftermarket, working with fleet management. Broadman 17 has developed a patent deep learning technology that is designed for automotive vision, and it enables us to run on off-the-shelf, low-power dash cams and embedded hardware without still enabling the top accuracy, which is so important for these types of solutions. In general, our customers are, again, both the tier ones and OEMs, and also in the fleet management are the TSPs, video telematics. We provide a software solution that fits with solution and hardware solutions like what Eyesight is offering.
Okay, Ohad, thank you. Dudi?
Hey, okay, hey everyone. Thanks Israel for inviting me on this panel. My name again is Dudi Marcus. I have over 20 years of experience in the fields of commercial telematics, fleet management, smart mobility, and IoT, including in key executive positions with the TSPs and the hardware vendors. Until 2017, I was the Chief Technology and Chief Product Officer for Pointer Location. Later on, until the end of 2019, I was the CEO of Micronet, a vendor of iHand, sophisticated Android-based platforms for fleet management services. At the end of 2019, I opened Marketech, and I've been working as an independent consultant, helping technology vendors, TSPs, and startups to improve their performance, offering and market success through services like product strategy, product line definition, projects management, ODMs management, business development, and bespoke market research. The video telematics, I must say, is very close to my heart. I've been involved in this space through numerous projects and solutions since the beginning of 2018. After identifying video in general and mainly computer vision, AI-powered video telematics as the next killer application in the fleet management market evolution. With that said, I hope to be able to share with you today some of my professional perceptions and the knowledge I've gathered over the past few years.
Okay, guys, let's deep into the subject matters. I already see on the chat channel, by the way, a few questions, and we will address those during the panel, but let's start with two main questions. The first one will be, what do you really think about the value of video telematics for vehicle fleets, TSPs, and device vendors? And I specifically trying to look at each one of them separately. I mean, whatever fleet needs is not necessarily whatever TSP needs or a device vendor. So I will appreciate your opinion on the matter. Dudi, maybe we'll start with you.
Okay. Look, it's a broad topic. I can speak about it like 2 hours or so, but let's try to make it short. So you Israel, you mentioned before in your presentation that driver distraction and drowsiness being responsible for 20% of collision incidents. But we all know that if we look at the rate of accidents caused by all sorts of human error, then we get over 90%. So the answer is quite clear. I mean, improved safety and operation cost reduction are the key value for fleets. If we're talking first about fleets, video telematics is natural evolution of legacy driver behavior monitoring applications. And if you can show to the fleet manager the better return on investment of video-based solutions compared with legacy driver behavior monitoring applications, it becomes an easy sell. Video makes it easier for fleet manager to mitigate risk, to manage driver training programs, simply because the visual context of driver behavior events is in the reach of a mouse click. ADAS features, a lot thanks to Mobileye, are already recognized to reduce accidents rate and are well adopted in the automotive market. You gain insurance premium cost reduction, higher availability availability of the vehicles, less injuries and fatalities, according to Frost and Sullivan, by the way, up to 45% less fines, better compliance, and in many cases, insurance claims exoneration. The result worth lots of money to the fleet manager. DMS is also proven to enhance dramatically driver safety with reduction potential of up to 80%, lower drowsiness and distraction events, and 70% increase in seatbelt use. Again, according to Frost and Sullivan, I don't measure these numbers. DMS still needs to cross a significant barrier of driver's acceptance and privacy, but it is definitely just behind the corner, and in most of the territories, thanks to the reasons I shared before. Do you want me to go on with the other?
No.
I mean,
with the other 1 hour and 55 minutes, yes. But I want, before transferring the question to Ohad, I still have one question to challenge you, and that's on the commercial level. If you are about to sell video telematics, whether it's DMS or whether it's ADAS, to a fleet, okay? Mm-hmm. What will be your approach to actually convince the fleet that they need such a piece?
It's a matter of value for the fleet. At the end of the day, if I can prove them a better return on investment by being able to reduce the cost, the operation cost, as I mentioned before, by being able to run a proof of concept pilot that will show him out of the box that these systems really saves lots of money, makes his operation more streamlined, makes his operation safer. Then at the end of the day, it keeps more money at his pocket at the end of the month. So it's a really, really easy sell. I think that because this technology is much more mature these days, there is a wide acceptance to adopt it. And it is, still a lot of questions around video and being captured and the privacy matter and GDPR and things like that. But I think those barriers are already crossed in North America and soon will be closed the rest of the world globally.
Okay. Ohad.
Yeah, so I think that when we're looking at the video telematics, and I'll try maybe to these and the device vendors, I think that the video telematics as a per se is the ability to record is kind of stating the obvious wide advantage around it. I'll take the angle of adding the AI capabilities, and especially, of course, in front of or regarding the front-facing camera, but also for the in-cabin. So I think that the advantages that this enables is like divided into 3 parts, right? It's the part of the accident prevention, right? So being able to alert in real time, the ability to run on the video telematics, to have the edge-based vision AI enables the real-time notification and actually helps to save, right, and to prevent accidents. This real-time notification has a second part, which is driver coaching, right? So we have driver coaching in retrospective, and we have driver coaching as part of the ongoing driver, right? The driver is on the car 6-8 hours a day, and each time that he will, I don't know, do a tailgating or be too close or talk on the phone or something like that, that he will get the alert in the car, will hopefully, and from experiments we've seen, it's reducing these activities. And third, and I think maybe also has a big portion of it, is the events videos, right? So when currently we have a lot of videos being recorded, these events even now with the standard sensors are being transmitted into the cloud, right, for manual observation. And this requires a lot of manpower to determine if this was a meaningful event or not. And using the video, the AI capabilities enables us to do the reviewing process for forensics, for driver coaching much more efficient. We can save much more resources where we have the meaningful events we know exactly. I'll give you one example. Think about the ability to detect a stop sign, right? So a stop sign is a visual information. If you cross-reference with the car, let's say a speed, right? And each time that you see stop signs, you identify stop signs, and you see that the speed of the driver has not been reduced significantly, or you see a complete stop, this has an effect, right, on the driver scoring, how safe this driver is. This visual information and being done on the edge, or even in the cloud, for that matter, gives a lot of insights that by that, if you're only relying on the standard sensor, right, you don't see harsh braking, you see like, an average of 50 miles per hour, then the driver has a perfect score. But if he's not stopping at any traffic lights or any junction, then we have some kind of an issue. So I see this and the combination of DMS and ADAS joined up together, I think provides a lot of value for the TSPs, and of course to the device manufacturers, where now the dash cams or the cameras that they're trying to sell, the solutions they're trying to sell, has additional value and additional advantages.
If I add the Israel, we talked a lot about the fleets and the capabilities aspect, the features for TSPs. With video telematics solutions, TSPs can significantly increase their ARPU. Sometimes up to $20 per month per vehicle. In some cases, I heard even more. With video telematics solution, TSPs can differentiate themselves from the competition. I mean, if you look from the TSP's perspective, of course, it's quite natural for the fleet, but for the TSP, they can differentiate themselves from the competition, improve their brand value, brand recognition. AI-powered, artificial intelligence-powered video telematics is perceived as highly innovative, aligned with technology trends in other fields of life, which are dominated by artificial intelligence and machine learning applications. So why not harnessing that into our industry? But the unavoidable truth is even simpler. They must offer video telematics because of the value it brings to the fleets. So now there is an arm race in the market towards this kind of solutions.
Okay, look, I tend to agree with you, but I want to look at it. It's a question from a little bit different perspective. It is quite clear that video telematics is bringing new value to fleets. Okay, both of you mentioned it and described it in a very, very nice and detailed way. It brings business opportunity to TSPs. Okay, as you said, Dudi, increases ARPU and allows them to have differentiated features and bring back innovation to our industry. For device vendors, it might be the escape sequence from the strategic threats that the high OEM involvement into the telematics industry will bring in the next 5 years, and that's something we need to take into account and think about. Okay, I will move to my next question, and this one will relate to the market itself. I mean, fine, everybody is enthusiastic about new technology, and we are, all of the three of us, and probably many in the audience, are people who have their own industry experience. And we know that sometimes as technology is promising, not necessarily the adaptation rate in the market will be as enthusiastic as the promise that such technology brings to the table. Now, what will be your prediction about the adoption of video telematics in the marketplace? Will it be adopted by everybody? Who will be the adopters? What do you think are the conditions to wide adoption of these technologies? I'll appreciate your opinions, and maybe we'll start with Ohad this time to be the first one to speak.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I can share with my experience with our experience as Broadband 17 in the market, and we, as I mentioned before, we have been in the business of automotive applications for the last 4 years, the aftermarket in the last 2.5 years, and we've seen in the last year, let's say, a big increase in the request from customers to get information and to supply projects and so forth. I think that let's say we see definitely in the US, we see a very big trend. This is where we are very, very active. I think that the involvement of hardware, which is, and from Broadband 17 perspective, is we're a software company. We need the hardware aligned to this. So we see two types, right? We see the companies who are utilizing some cloud connectivity in order to do the analysis, the AI, the deep learning in the cloud. In terms of hardware, there is a real big challenge to run the AI, at least from our front, on the edge device, and this is what we are trying to bring into the table. So I think that we see a lot of more device vendors which are trying to embed these capabilities into their platforms. Once this will be more common, right, and more device vendors, what I call camera telematics providers, will be able to provide these solutions, which are, from the technology perspective, the technology is definitely here, right? We're talking about when working with the tier ones, definitely we see that these level 1, level 2 solutions are already mass adopted, right? So reducing that into what the fleet, the TSPs or fleet managers need, it's not a problem, right? It's already here today. The only challenge is to be able to do this if you're doing this on the edge device or doing it in the cloud in terms of connectivity, compute power, and so on. So I think that we currently see it's not even early adopters, but we see the more tech-savvy companies which have the ability to create the entire cycle, including the hardware and software, where they want to design it on their own, right? I think that when we will see more and more camera telematics providers providing these solutions into the market, then it will be easier for the TSPs, for these different companies to adopt that technology. And then the challenge that they will have is mainly onto, let's say, the integration into their platform, but they won't need to be designing a hardware and a software and the integration bundled up together, right? So that's my view.
Dudi?
Yeah, I'll tell you a short story. Back in 2018, when I designed the first AI-powered solution, I believed, and I told to my team that we probably have between 1.5 to 2 years to win the market before such devices become widely available. And I mean hybrid telematics and video solution. And it was at the days that Litec and Smart Drive, Nauto and Netrodyne, they sold their solutions for $500 to $1,000. And the first two, the Litec and Smart Drive, they actually dominated the traditional video telematics market, not artificial intelligence based by traditional video recording. And penetration rates were very low at around 3% in North America, less than 1% in globally, and the cost was huge barrier. I mean, it was really not widely adopted because of the cost, and we tried to bring a platform which is fully featured in the range of between $170 to $300 for the fully featured solution. Apparently, back then I was too optimistic or too pessimistic, I must say. And it seems to take much longer for hardware vendors if you want to deliver high quality, feature-rich, and competitively priced solution. And it also takes longer for the market to recognize the value and to build the right business model around these features. So yes, there is a wave of TSPs launching video telematics solutions. It started in North America in 2018, but spreading faster to other territories, mainly Europe, and later on also Latin America and Africa probably. And just to name few which are in this arm race are Samsara and Keep Tracking and Trimble and Fleet Complete and Calamp and Zonar, and those are just looking for different solutions in the market. And of course, and you know it from first hand as being the owner of the aftermarket business in Eyesight. So, as I mentioned before, if you don't have video telematics, you are not only uncompetitive in the eyes of the new customers, but you also lose your existing customers. And the interesting thing is that in the near future, 85%, according to Frost & Sullivan, 85% of the video telematics solutions are going to be around dual camera. Front-facing, road camera, and in-cab occupancy monitoring or driver monitoring. So ADAS and DMS are going to be powerful drivers of this market. I believe that eventually the game changer will be, as I said before, devices which can run telematics alongside diagnostics and computer vision capabilities on a single device. At the end of the road, you get artificial intelligence on commodity hardware, and this way you ensure a wide penetration. That's my opinion.
I'll tell you,
okay.
Israel. I just 60 seconds. I think that when looking on the TSPs and video telematics, there are the companies who are now involved in this, and you can see the last acquisition of Smart Drive by Omnitrack. There is a need for this, but I think the rapid adaptation will be when it will be not the let's say sophisticated projects around it, when the small to mid-size video telematics providers, that are managing somewhere between 5,000 to 50,000 devices, when they will start to adopt it, right? When the Linux of the world that are managing 800,000, there are not a lot of them, but when the smaller companies will do this as a commodity, as just Dudi mentioned, when the commodity hardware will be something very accessible, and eliminating the headaches of integrating, when they can just buy it and put it in the car and just connect it to their backend, then there will be the rapid adaptation, and it will be. I'm guessing again. I don't want to be, to mention time frame, because it's recorded and it will always backtrack on me, right? But it will be definitely in the next couple of, let's say, years. It could be 1, 2, 3. We'll see a rapid adaptation. This is my best educated guess.
Okay. But this is why you have to quote others.
Dudi, let me look. I was listening very well to you, and some things came into my mind. Look, I think that there is a very Dudi, you gave an example from the legacy telematics, talking about 2010, 2011, and the products that you have done there. There is a very big difference between video telematics, which is highly AI supported, than the telematics that we did something like 10 years ago. The big difference is what I'm calling performance quality. I mean, quality was always an issue in telematics because you need to have robust products that operate under very harsh conditions and do not break and they really are doing what they do. But the functionality was a challenge, let's say a moderate challenge, not a very, very high level challenge. Now, to make a satisfying level of performance in driver monitoring or in ADAS side, you need really to be an AI professional. Not everybody can do it. Everybody can do something, but not everybody can do such a high quality thing, especially on the fleet hemisphere when you have the issue of false alarms to handle. And I think that the market will grow based on the quality of those players, but there are going to be some kind of a Darwinist process. I mean, there will be those guys that are capable to deliver high quality, and I'm counting Eyesight as part of them, and I'm counting Broadman 17, which I know very well as part of it because I know the performance. And large part of the market is not going to get into this level, so they will be out. And we need to take it into account. So price change is going to be much more moderate. And here there is another business attitude opportunity than what we have seen in the past. This is my opinion. Let's, before concluding, let's see a few questions that we have on the chat, and everybody can see it. So questions that relates to business, I was approached, maybe others as well. What I suggest is that we cannot address it immediately here. So Ohad, Dudi, and I will simply type on the channel our mail address, and everybody who wants to communicate with us is very welcome. Two questions that I see here. First of all, Andrew is asking about the expected rate of accidents. And Dudi, you addressed it before. Maybe you will address it a little bit to the audience.
Yeah, well, I recently read a research published by Frost and Sullivan claiming that road-facing cameras can reduce up to 44, it's something between 42 to 44 different cases, different type of events. But in general, up to 45% less injuries and fatalities. If you translate it into money, it's a lot of money in claims, and taking into account not only the cost of fatalities, but also times that claims are submitted, although it's not your fault. So exoneration, it's very, very important, can cost a lot of money. So in terms of less accidents, I know this number, 45%, well, didn't measure it myself.
Ohad, anything to add?
Yeah, I think the numbers is like accuracy for AI. It depends on how you measure it, right? You can put a number. I think it's undisputable that the ability, and I'll take this maybe from the angle of the ADAS features for the integrated, right? It's that we definitely see, and we can think about when we are utilizing or driving, right? And the ADAS feature in the car alerts us. So it's undisputable that it helps. If it's 45, 55, it really depends on the business case, right? If we're looking at, let's say, oil and gas or something like that, where the damage for any accident could be millions or something like that. So I think it's really depending. I think there is no doubt that it's helping. I think that this is where the future is, and the combination of the in-cabin for distraction and even combined together with the front-facing for not just for mitigating the immediate accident, even as a training, right? As a training program, and to be able to rate better the driver and then fire the ones which are not good and save a lot of money for the organization, right? So this is another way of looking at things. So I really believe in that.
Good. All those are a lot of numbers, and people can relate to the NHTSA, to the National Highway Traffic Safety Association research that are talking about a 20% plus reduction in accident rate. Numbers are varied, but all of them are under the agreements that we are talking about a percentage which is over 20%. So I would guess that this is going to have a major influence on those fleets who will use it. Addressing another question here is the question of Matanas, who is asking me, Mantas, I'm sorry, and apologize about mispronouncing your name, who is asking me whether Eyesight is selling ADAS algorithm to camera manufacturers with their own hardware. So actually, the answer is go to OHAD, because ADAS algorithm is Broadman 17 expertise. If you need DMS algorithm for your device, then Eyesight will stand forward, and in our FleetSense device, we will support both. But the answer is, of course, for ADAS, go to Broadman if you need the algorithm. For DMS, go to Eyesight, and for a device, go to Eyesight. We'll arrange everything for you there. If you have anything to add there, Ohad, that's your opportunity.
No, I'll be more than happy to communicate with anyone that would like Broadman provide software. We can work on any hardware, so we'll be very, very happy to do that.
Okay, guys. First of all, thank you very much. Thank you, Dudi. Thank you, Ohad. And I want to thank the organizers of the conference who gave us quite a nice platform. Konstantinos, please contact me or Ohad in mail to clear your questions on the business level. And I thank everybody that joined us today, and I hope that we gave you an interesting and satisfying session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Keep safe.